So today we're going to be installing our DND steering wheel with the Miata hub adapter and the quick release. And the first thing you're going to want to do whenever you do these is make sure your battery is disconnected. Right here I have my negative terminal and you can see it's not connected to the battery. I've had it like this for about a half hour just to make sure that the airbag is completely discharged so that it doesn't go off when you get started. And without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into it. Before we start pulling everything apart, I went ahead and pulled out the tools that I believe we'll need. I have a 21mm socket on my impact for the actual steering wheel hub bolt. I got a drill with a Phillips tip screwdriver piece for all the trim pieces, and then I have a 10mm socket for removing the airbag. I'm pretty sure that's all we'll need. I got all my information from other YouTube videos, so bear with me. Alright, so like I said earlier, the first thing we're gonna do is take off the airbag. All we're doing is using that 10mm socket, getting the 4 bolts on the back of the steering wheel. There's 2 on the bottom and then 2 towards the horn buttons. The 2 on the bottom are at a slight angle, so just keep that in mind if you don't feel your sockets grabbing right away. Once the bottom 2 bolts are removed, I like to turn the steering wheel and get to work on the last 2 holding in the top portion of the airbag. Once all the bolts are removed from the airbag, you can pull it off, and as you can see, it's held on by a piece of string. So what I did in here is just manipulate the airbag to slide the string off of the hook that it's on. You'll also need a drill to unscrew the screw holding in the connectors. When removing the connectors, you have to do the orange one first. That connects to your horn. And then the blue one is what connects to your airbags. Once the airbag is completely removed, you can set that to the side and then grab your 21mm bolt, or socket I should say, and begin to remove the steering wheel. So we loosen it, put the bolt back on so that we can kind of beat the steering wheel up a little bit to loosen it from the spline. And I like to keep the bolt on there so that once the steering wheel does come loose, the steering wheel won't fly off and hit you in the face or wherever. Once the steering wheel is out of the way, we can grab our drill again and remove the 4 screws holding in this plastic collar around the steering column. Once the plastic collar is out of the way, we could then remove the 3 screws holding in the clock spring. Once that's out of the way, you can grab a screwdriver again, undo the 2 screws holding in the under tray for the steering column. Once you pull that out, you can unscrew the rest of the screws holding in all the accessory handles. And then you'll need the wire cutters to cut up the zip ties so you can pull the harness out and remove that off of the steering column. From here, you'll need to disconnect the white connector right there, which is the ground connector, the orange connector, which again goes to the horn, and then the blue connector, which is for the airbags. And then you could set this whole clock spring to the side because we won't be reusing it in our application. I have this little spade connector right here to short out the airbag terminals so that when we go to turn the car back on, we won't get an airbag light. I then go back to the old steering wheel to pull or to cut the old horn connector so that we can reconnect it to our harness that's still in the car, so that eventually we can either rerun the wire to a different spot and relocate the horn, or if we want to switch steering wheels in the future, that way we can connect it to the future hub. The horn will not work with the DND quick release though, the way it comes from DND. So once we got the connector in place, go ahead and place the accessory shaft back onto the steering column. And here I'm just zip tying up the loose harness cables so that they're just neat, nice and tidy. Now that's all zip tied up, we can go ahead and screw back in this little collar that's holding on the blinker and the windshield washers. Once those are back screwed in, you can take your under tray and screw that back in as well. Now that we have everything taken off and prepped up underneath, we can now come over, grab our hub, grab our quick release, grab a steering wheel, and start installing it into the car. So here I have the short hub from DND. This isn't a super deep hub, so this makes it so that you can only put the quick release on one way. What you want to do is make sure it's nice and centered. I use the DND stenciling as the top portion, so I know to set that up with top dead center on the steering column. And then I take the back of the quick release and put this on the hub. A lot of people will say that I'm putting this on backwards, but with this hub, like I said, you cannot use the quick release the other way. So once that portion of the quick release is on the hub, we can go ahead and install the spline section on our steering wheel. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and put the steering wheel on, and that completes our steering wheel quick release install. See here, I forgot to put the collar back on, so I'm just putting it on. Ideally you would want to do this before you put the hub on, but I did not think about it, so I had to screw it on and beat it in place. If you have any questions regarding quick releases or steering wheels, please leave a comment or hit me up on my Instagram.